Peace and love. Peace and love, love. Peace and love. Peace and love, love. Peace and love, friends. My name is Bubbles, and this is the Bubbly Love Show. The Bubbly Love Show. The Bubbly Love Show. Peace and love, peace and love. I am so excited about this episode today. Today we will be speaking about self-love and the connection to healing and the connection with detoxing and fasting and the effect that it has on our emotions, mind, body, and spirit, okay? This is a topic that, y'all, I feel like I'm so passionate about health. However, throughout my healing journey, I've just been like shy to share certain things when it comes to health because I feel like people can be like, it can be a sensitive topic. And with me just being who I am, I don't like to like have people like feel away, right? So it's something that I'm working through, and I realize that I just have to speak my truth. I have to be honest, and I have to share this knowledge because it's something that I have been practicing for some time now, and it's also something that is so powerful when we are mindful of what we are consuming. And I just literally, like, y'all know about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, right? So it's a classic if you're not familiar. It's a book and a movie, but I'm familiar more with the book. And essentially what I recall from it, because I read it as a little girl, but it always just stuck with me, and just this idea of having like two sides. We can almost compare it to like the devil and the angel side, you know, like on the cartoons when they're on the shoulders. So like which one? And essentially with Dr. Jekyll, the resonance that I'm sharing is that Dr. Jekyll essentially, well, he started off as Mr. Hyde, and I believe he was like some type of scientist, and he would do like experiments. And what happened was he created an experiment with like some type of formula that turned him into like another version of himself, I guess to say, but that was Dr. Jekyll. And compared to Mr. Hyde, Dr. Jekyll was the opposite end of the spectrum as far as the way he showed up. Like, I believe it was just more like, let's just say wicked. Like, it was just more of that energy. Again, this is something I read a long time ago, but it just always stuck with me, that energy. So the connection that I'm making with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is that I realize myself that I am a scientist, and I really love to experiment. And I feel like possibly this is where they get the whole terminology about like mad scientists, right? Because like I feel like they could go mad with like mixing up stuff and like taking their own things and things of that nature. However, right? My connection to it is that in life, throughout this journey, especially being more aware of what I am eating and seeing how it positively affects my life, right? With that, essentially, I have still fell victim to like testing things out. Like I call it like rebel energy, right? So it's something I've been working through, is like rebel energy. But first we need to identify in order for us to heal through things. So I've identified, okay, I think about the Bob Marley song, So Rebel, right? I'm a rebel. Do, 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 do. So rebel, right? So, and I'm also a Duffy Conqueror, don't know, you know what I'm saying? But really though, as far as just the rebel energy and like, okay, this is like a childlike trait. Like, where am I getting this rebel energy when I'm seeing that when I'm consuming certain things and when I'm eating a certain way, that it has so many positive effects in my life. I have mental clarity. I am able to just stay in tuned and connect as far as my intuition and following that intuition and knowing what it is that I need to do, who I need to be around, what I don't need to do, what I don't need to be around. The messages are just there and everything is clear. Another effect that I realized about food, how it affected me positively, was also my dreams. It was something that I hadn't heard anyone speak about prior to my personal experience with becoming plant-based and specifically doing the 7-day vegan challenge. So being able to dream again, which by the way, we dream every night, but we're not always remembering it a lot of times because of the blockages that are stored within our mental and body, right? So just being able to be open and like open to the guidance that we're always receiving. And what helps, I realize, is even just practicing fasting. That 7-day vegan challenge for me was a sense of a fast because I spent 20 something years eating meat, and more than just eating meat, but having different food combinations that weren't correct. So I was building up all of this mucus and all of this waste without even knowing it. As a fun fact, our digestive system, right? The the large and the small intestine, right? Okay, I don't want to say this wrong, but the digestive tract, essentially, if you was to like put it up straight, it's close to 30 feet, right? So think about that. Think about how much waste can accumulate within our bodies, right, over a period of time if it's 30 feet long. So that means we need to be patient when it comes to what we're eating and when we're eating the next thing, and also not drinking and eating at the same time. Because what happens is when you're drinking and eating at the same time, you have stomach acids like and fluids and things that essentially help your food to digest and break down. So when we're drinking at the same time, we're diluting those stomach acids, so our food is not able to properly digest. And if our food is not able to properly digest, what do you think that leads to, class? It will lead to constipation and bloating, right? And waste accumulation. So essentially, with that spiel, the connection, as I'm making all of these connections, I realized there would be certain times that I would be rebellious and I would eat things knowing that they weren't good for me. And I really, really just want to share from a place of love and a place of experience that we really need to be honest with ourselves when we're eating things and how we're feeling when we are consuming these foods. For instance, if you happen to be upset or anxious or perhaps sad, right? And you find yourself going for certain foods, like, let's be mindful of that. Let's be aware of that, right? So with this Bubbly Love course that I have been building and I've been sharing, it is all about that. It's all about reflecting on ourselves on a consistent basis, being able to build a daily self-love regimen for yourself, including your meditation and your journaling and your movement and things that you enjoy doing, because we consistently need to do things that we enjoy doing so that we can be happy, we can be high vibrational. When we are in a space of bliss, doing something that we love, that energy, it's all around us, right? So that means that other people can now tap into that energy. And if we just keep building with that, then it'll just be more and more high frequency energy, right? So I'm really, really passionate about this because becoming plant-based and just starting in 2019, my 7-day vegan challenge, right? It completely changed my life. I realized it was a huge catalyst to my ascension, right? I was already on this like journey. And I feel like at that specific time, like following me becoming plant-based after I enjoyed the 7 days vegan challenge, everything in my life just started to enhance. And at that time, I was working in fashion corporate. And I come from a fashion buying and fashion marketing background. So I was working at Lord and Taylor in the office and stuff. And, you know, honestly, I literally spent so much of my life wanting to be in this field of work. But when I tell y'all, I was so miserable there. I was making the most money that I've ever made working in fashion at this well-known establishment, but I was not happy. But guess what? I used that time being behind the computer and being on Excel to learn. And I would listen to people like Ralph Smart. He's the one who inspired my 7-day vegan challenge. So I would listen to things like that, and I would listen to the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Book of Thoth and all of these different things that was expanding my mind. And it was just like, it was just very powerful, the impact that everything just started having on my life, and just all of the alignments that began to happen even as I started to perform. So when I was working around the time that I became plant-based, I was working full-time in fashion merchandising. However, on Fridays, once a month, I began to host open mics at Zambo Aroma in the Bronx, New York. And I hadn't known at that time how much I enjoyed hosting. However, I learned that about myself because I started performing, and I started to gain traction and gain friends and networking experiences, and it literally led me to hosting. And I was like, wait a minute, I love doing this. I love doing my music. I love speaking. I love holding safe spaces for others to create, because I even realized, right? So it was the 7-day vegan challenge, all that, boom, led to me performing, starting to perform. Me even performing was a huge shift in transition within my life. Just being brave enough to be able to express myself on a stage in full authenticity, and using my voice more than just my speaking voice, which is something that I haven't really had an issue with growing up. I was always very outspoken. I would speak, right? However, when it came to singing, my music, right? My poetry, my raps, my songs that I wrote, I would be more closed in with that, more guarded when it comes to that. It is the closest thing to my heart, right? So I realized that me finally being vulnerable and sharing that sacred space that was close to my heart, I was able to just amplify my being. And it's so many experiences that have happened throughout the journey that I'm just so grateful for. But I would definitely say this health really is wealth, because I started being abundant in so many different ways, mind, body, and spirit, just from me changing how I was consuming. And it's interesting because what even led to the 7-day vegan challenge, more than like me doing research, I just had a feeling one day. I just had this message one day. And the message was like, you know what, Deja? I don't think that you need to eat meat with every meal. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, word, I don't think I need to eat meat with every meal. So I started off like that. And I just began, like, sometimes when I would have pasta and veggies or something, I wouldn't add, you know, the chicken or the fish or the shrimps that I would usually add. And I just started from there. Then I found the 7-day vegan challenge and so forth. And then we went from there. So I have some notes, because this is a topic that I can get really extensive on. So I just would like to ensure I'm on track. All right, cool. So I also wanted to speak on being able to now learn my body and communicate with my body and learn the things that my body liked and the things that my body doesn't like. And it's interesting. So, I realize how I feel after I eat a big bowl of some organic seeded fruit versus if I have back then like a shrimp pasta, like a jerk, how you call it, rasta pasta, a rasta pasta with shrimp, right? I realized the difference that I feel with the two different meals. So what I'm saying is that I also began to start to eat more simplistic. And I said, you know what? Even the fruit thing, I'm like, I can have a big bowl of fruit, or I can have an abundance of one fruit, and I can focus on whatever it is that is the antioxidant specific to that fruit, right? And then we can continue to go down. A way that I like to practice this is that I follow the chakras, the colors of the rainbow, and we start with the root chakra. So starting with your red foods, right? Your beets. We can go into like the chard. We can go into like your red cabbage. We can go into your red bell peppers, your Scotch bonnet peppers, right? Then we want to move it up to orange. We can also get into those orange bell peppers. If we want to talk about fruits, we can get into some papaya, some mango, right? We also have mango that is deeper orange and then going up to the yellow spectrum, solar plexus. We have your star fruit, we have your lemons, we have your pineapples. Then going up to the heart chakra, we have your kale, we have your cilantro, we have your arugula, we have your green peppers, right? Going up to blue. I find blue to be an interesting food, or excuse me, an interesting color when it comes to food, because one of the only like blue foods is really like blue spirulina, and it's like this kind of color, right? And it's not something that we tend to find everywhere. However, what came to my spirit, and you can tell me if you resonate, is when I think about blue, I was like, wait a minute, maybe we don't have so many blue foods because the blue is the water. Yes, water is clear, right? When it's in like a cup like this. However, as we notice when it comes to like the sea, even in the Caribbean Sea, right? It has like a teal, a blue type of tint. So to me, I would say that the blue would represent the water as far as if you wanted to eat according to your chakras. And water is going to be in all of your whole foods, right? All of your real foods, they all consist of their own water. So like fruits, they have their own water in it, which is will be considered your fruit juice, but it's a water, right? A liquid. We are full of water, so we want to ensure that we're always filling up that. And then we can move on to the third eye and the crown chakra, which is going to be your I always say ultraviolet, but is that? I don't think that's it. But my bad. Indigo. I always get ultraviolet and indigo mixed up. Indigo and purple. So again, we can talk about like the red cabbages. We could talk about even beets. We could even talk about your purple sweet potatoes, your purple potatoes. Those are really, really good, right? So there's so many different foods. There's color, the spectrum, it's all connected. And I realize as well, when we are eating whole foods, it makes sense. So a lot of me becoming plant-based and just my health journey has been a lot of the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde vibes, has been a lot of experimentation, right? And in my experimentation, I realized that it makes a lot of sense to eat food that is natural. And when I say that natural, I mean that comes from a tree. And the reason being is because if we look at sacred geometry and if we look at ourselves, then we can see that reflection that is within ourselves and within sacred geometry. What do I mean by this? If we look at our bodies, right? These are my arms, right? And these are my legs and my toes. This is my body. Ain't I like a tree, y'all? Ain't I like a tree? I'm like a tree. I'm like a tree. If you think about it, we literally are very like almost identical to a tree. Not exactly identical, but you know, like when you think about it in a deeper level, right? Like when you see the way that the bark goes, right? When you see the way that the roots come up, when you see the way that the bark and the trunk goes, right? And then how the arms or the branches go out and they just all are interconnected. Then our head, which is like our crown, that's like where all of the hair grows, right? Like all the hair, right? We're a tree. So when I look at foods and the sacred geometry of the foods, if you look deeper, the plants and the herbs and the fruits, they all have that same sacred geometry of like looking like a tree. So to me, I'm like, oh, I should be eating a reflection of me, and not as in like me, but it makes sense that this is a food, like these are foods that was God given, right? Like they were here from the beginning of time. And wouldn't it make sense that those are the foods that we have? And I feel like, let me tell y'all a message that came to me, y'all. Let me tell you a message that came to me. And it said it just like this. It said, man's problem is ego. Man's problem is ego. Let me explain. When we were put here, we were given everything that we need. However, man said, but I can make it better. I can make it faster. I could make it more accessible. I can profit off of this. And when I'm thinking about the idea of the pharmaceutical companies, the prescriptions that they diagnose you at the doctors, at the hospitals, and then they give you the lab-made medicine. When if you look at the biology, when you look at the constitution, when you look up the makeup of these prescriptions, right? Literally, we have things in nature that does this naturally. My book is not right here, but I have a book. I got a special book, y'all, that is like essentially it's New York Department of Health, and it's like the book for the prescriptions that they give to people who have mental disability. So you know, like every people that have mental disabilities, they are typically prescribed with different medications that they have to take at a certain time. And so I have the book that goes into what you're supposed to give them and all that type of stuff. And comparing it to like my herbalism books, like the Jethro Cross Back to Eden book, yeah, we can always find what we need in nature is essentially what I'm saying. So this idea of man-made, right? Yes, is dope that man-made art, right? Man-made art. Someone made this fabric. Someone did this, right? This is art. This is creation. This is divine, right? This is something man-made, right? But then it's like it came from God, like, because what did the fabric come from? It likely came from like a sheep. It came from cotton. It came from, it came from nature. It came from something, right? However, when it comes to things like prescription drugs, right? Literally a lab. It's different chemicals being mixed together. It's artificial stuff. It's no good for you. So essentially, there's so many different things that inspire me to be on this journey of health and just be this advocate for wellness, because I also want to share how I realized that health affects our mental wellness. It's completely, my hair is wet, so these are like little sparkles. So the connection of health, right, and our mental wellness is so, it's connected. And essentially, the connection that I've made in my own experience, again, going back to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I've realized that I have, with a rebellious mind, eat certain stuff and continue in that way, right? And then I realize, right, mind you, I'm eating these things. I know that it's not good for me. I know that what it does now, because of my research, right, and my own experiments, my own personal experience, right, still go and eat something that's not good for me. And then I'm acting like Dr. Jekyll, wilding out, y'all, wilding out. And I realized, and then I'm asking myself, like, what is going on? Why do I feel so blocked? Why do I feel like I'm not able to just tap into my intuition? Why am I becoming indecisive? It's so interconnected, y'all. And then guess what? As soon as I go and I fast, right? As soon as I'm like, you know what, Dej, you've been wilding. Like, you don't need that bread. You don't need that bread. And it's interesting because I never used to eat bread. So that's another thing. I'm so happy I said that. So, y'all, I've never used to eat bread. Aw, thanks, sis. Thank you. I'm sure you look great too, sis. Love you. Chels. So, the connection with food. Okay, so I'm glad that I said this, actually. So something that I realized, usually, right, I don't crave bread. Like I haven't ate bread for a while, right? It was a while I didn't eat bread. It just wasn't something that I even craved, like, to be honest. And especially since I just had started, like, really, before, when I was like really, really on top of things, I would eat mostly raw, and then I would eat maybe like 30% cooked. So if I have a cooked meal, I'll likely have like one cooked meal in a day, but everything else I'm having in the day is raw, right? And most days I would just really eat raw. And then, like, so the most taxing thing on my digestive system would be nuts. So I had to work on the nuts thing, that's another story. But that's my snack, So, but let me tell you something. This is what happens. I started going to like vegan restaurants, trying to try out their food and stuff, when I used to be very particular about not eating out. So I started getting used to eating all of this, like, they have a lot of doughy stuff and a lot of things with bread. But let me tell you something about parasites, right? This shit is real. So parasites, like I said, I had an experience of eating raw, eating in this way, being completely consistent. I would eat and I would not even have the munchies, what people call munchies, and like how they want snacks and stuff. I didn't want that, because I literally would be like satisfied after what I ate. I would literally be satisfied. You know, I used to eat raw kale salad, like a whole raw kale salad every single day with pico de gallo and avocado, and I would make my own pico de gallo, right? So what I'm saying is that I realized I didn't have those cravings. Boom. Now if I go and I eat bread, right? Or I go, I go and I eat bread. I eat these vegan foods outdoors or whatever the case may be. Now all of a sudden my appetite, I realize that when it comes to like, say if I see some fruit and then I see some bread or something, or like if it's between a raw salad and a veggie burger, and I'm not even a veggie burger person. That's what this whole thing has been weird. This is why I'm telling y'all about this, because stuff is real, y'all. Like I'd be looking at, I'm like, how did I start eating veggie burgers? Like nothing against veggie burgers. When I initially started my journey, to me, I was just like, why do I want to be plant-based and eat things that look like meat? That just don't make sense to me. Like for me, I was just like, I don't want nothing that look like meat. I'm gonna eat the food as it's supposed to be. As I mentioned earlier, I started eating very simplistic. So I would have, like, as an example, like I just said, I would do kale, avocado, cherry tomatoes, lemon, and purple onion. And I'll mix that up for me, squeeze it up. That's my pico de gallo or guacamole, whatever you want to call it, right? But it would just be raw, and it would be flavorful. And that's the thing too, because there's so many herbs when we're thinking about even how we like season food. Like even if you're having meat, whatever it is, you're seasoning it with an herb, and the herb is the flavor that you like. You don't really like the flavor of that meat, because if you had the meat without the seasoning, you likely wouldn't like it, right? We want to season our food, so it's the herbs that we gravitate towards. So even in this journey, I started to be able to learn more about my palate and start to identify specific tastes, so that helped me with creating more recipes when it comes to just being plant-based, and also just raw food. I'm like going in right now. Let me just look at my notes. But yeah, parasites, that's what it was. So essentially what I realized is that because I would eat something, right? I know it will build parasites, because first of all, I seen it in my third eye, but I also knew it would build parasites because of how I would start to crave things, right? I would start to crave breads. I would start to crave sweets. I've never been a sweet person, like ever. When I was younger and I ate candy, like I stopped eating candy years ago, but prior when I did eat candy, I had like sour straws. I was wilding, with all of the sugar and stuff. I was into those sweet sour stuff. I never liked chocolate. So I never really liked cookies. I like oatmeal raisin cookies, like my favorite cookie in the world. But like other than that, that's not something that I like. That's never really been me. But like I'm saying, when I'm eating a certain way, or I'm eating things that I know is just not the best for me, and that's not even meat, because for me, I don't really crave meat. I had some like catfish like some weeks back, because I was kind of testing it out to see how I would react to fish, because out of all different things, I realized that fish hasn't ever really bothered me. However, just in my spirit, it just didn't feel right. So for me and where I'm at, like I like eating plant-based and I enjoy it. I love how I feel. I love everything about it. I love making new different recipes, and I love teaching others about it. So something else that so to finish that thought, so I realized that I would build parasites when I was eating foods that would essentially accumulate parasites. And then because those parasites, now I was craving foods that I usually wouldn't crave. So now I'm craving the cookies. Now I'm craving the sweet stuff. Now I'm craving bread. Now I'm craving these things. And then I'm looking at myself, because I'm very like, every single day I reflect with myself. I have something I've been working through is not going so hard on myself, because something about me is that when I see something about myself that I would like to work on, I go in. I go in because like I like that type of stuff. Like I like to show up as the best version of myself, and definitely releasing like being perfect, but definitely gonna show up to be the best of what I can be. So when I'm realizing certain things about myself and I'm like, yo, you don't usually eat this stuff, look at what you've been eating, like look at what you've been craving, what's been going on. And I check in with my mental wellness and I check in with myself, and I'm like, you know what, I haven't been feeling good lately. I have been feeling like a bit overwhelmed, and I didn't even realize that subconsciously I was eating my emotions, you know? And we have to be honest with ourselves. And I feel like this is what this is all about. Like even me talking about this, I'm so happy right now because I love being honest with myself. And I love to like not be perfect. I love to be like, you know what, Deja? You could do better at that, you know? Like let's work towards that. And then like I said, something I'm working through is not striving for perfection, but just doing my best and being honest with myself of where I'm at, because sometimes we can say we're doing our best, but I feel like that's very easier said than done. Are we really doing our best? Are we being honest with ourselves? And the thing is, our best is always going to look different from each day. So also learning to have grace with yourself and having compassion with yourself, but taking accountability. You know, let's take accountability. Let's not make excuses. Let's not. And again, I'm saying all of this, and of course it's easier said than done, but I'm sharing this because these are things that I've personally have gone through, been in, and am in, right? This healing journey, I realize, is like an infinite one. Every time I feel that I've gotten to a certain level of awareness, consciousness, I realize how much I don't know. And I realize how there's just so much more other levels to it, right? And that's beautiful, Chelsea. I think it's dope to be aware. Like, and that's the thing too. I just want to share, just being aware of ourselves. That doesn't mean that we completely, if we realize that maybe we're not eating of the most healthiest things for us, that we just completely need to go cold turkey and completely cut off meat or whatever the case may be. Start in portions and decide also what works best for you and what you want to do, what makes you happy and truly happy, not the suppressed kind of happy where you smile but you're eating your pain, right? But real true happiness that comes from within, where we can be vulnerable and share and, you know, just be love. So there was another thought. So when it comes to just our mind, body, and spirit, you know, this one of the topics of the lesson today, that's what I realized. This is a show, but it's a lesson because I love to teach. And when I teach, I'm teaching myself as well. I'm speaking to self. I'm literally looking at the phone at myself right now. So I'm speaking to self and I'm speaking with you all. And we're just having this build right now. And essentially mind, body, and spirit. So I want to make the connection with self-love. Hi, Carl, I love you. Yo, I just seen a block the other day named Carlton Ave. I was like, that's my boy, you heard? So the connection that I wanted to make about self-love being connected with our health, right? And also the connections I was just making about being honest with ourselves and taking accountability for ourselves and what we're doing, right? Is that I realize, I'm like, okay, if I love me, right? Don't I want to engage in activities and with people and like that make me feel good, and eat things that make me feel good. Like if I love myself, right? And I had to really sit with that. Brother Yaki Awakened was the first person who I heard make that connection, and it drew like an epiphany for me. And it was like, you know what? Word. There's so many times in life that we tend to know something is not good for us, right? And we end up doing it anyways. And a connection that I made earlier, because I did it like yesterday, some silly stuff. It was something silly, I'm gonna tell you. I like went down to take out the garbage, right? And there was like this, you know, like the dustpan, and how, you know, those dustpans that like fall down and it could go back up, or whatever the case may be, it's like that. So essentially, when I went down there, I seen the dustpan and it fell because I put down the garbage, it fell. So I could have just used my hands to like pick it up. That would have been a simple thing to do, but because it was me, right? I was like, nah. I was like, I want to use my foot. And then I got a message and was like, if you use your foot, it's not gonna work. And I was like, I'm gonna do it anyway. So I used my foot, and then the shit came up and it fell back on my foot. And it didn't hurt. Good thing it didn't hurt too much. But Spirit was like, bro, I just told you that it wasn't. I was like, and you know what I said without even thinking about it? I was like, I know, I just wanted to see what was going to happen. And then I had an epiphany. I was like, oh shit. That's that rebel. That's that little kid rebel energy that I was identifying. And I was like, oh snap. I just told myself what it was. I just said, well, I wanted to see what would happen. And I was like, why do I want to do something that's not right? Like, that's not good, to see what will happen. That's like a child, right? You remember the child in class? Maybe you were that child in class. The child in class that would do different things to disrupt the lesson. And it seemed like they were always doing something to disrupt the lesson, but you seen when you just paid attention to it that child just really wanted like attention, essentially, right? So they were doing things to get this type of attention. So it's almost like this energy of being like, oh, well, I want to see what will happen, because like that means it'll be some type of, now what's coming to me right now is like self-worth or something, like, right? Like self-worth. Like I'll feel worthy if somebody reacts to something that I did. Like, hold on. Yeah, that's the energy I'm getting. Like wanting attention, like doing something, like, because why are we rebellious on things? Like, it's like, do we want attention? Like, word. Actually, I want to know what y'all think about that. Like, let's have a conversation. What do you feel about that? Like, why do you feel like some of us have this rebellious energy? And something that definitely just came to me is that when I was younger, there was a point that I was like on honor roll all the time. I was very like, I used to get 110%, always, like my grades, I was like the child, like that one in school. I got recommended for like some next school called Horace Mann, and like they were trying to even get me out of the public school because I was just that academically there. And what's it called? Wait, hold on. And okay, so what I'm essentially saying is that because I was like into academics and stuff, I never used to get in trouble. In third grade, I ended up having this best friend named Tracy, and she used to get in trouble a lot. And I remember she was the first person that influenced me, like that peer pressure thing. But like, I feel like it was kind of not that much peer pressure, because that's the thing. It was like part of me wanted to get in trouble. It was like part of me wanted to get in trouble, because it's almost like, dang, I'm always like the goody two shoes. I'm always like the person that doesn't get in trouble. Like, what does it feel like to get in trouble? Like, let me be rebellious and see what this feels like. It's almost like it's like this rush, this energy, right? That's what's coming to me right now. Yeah, talk, Carlton. Okay, so let me see. Carlton said, energy that was corrupted turned astray earlier with a need for something greater without having a true intention with that energy. Energy that was corrupted turned astray earlier with the need for something greater without having. Word up, son. Alajuan said, we like to explore different terrains. Change is constant, ebb and flow. Sometimes we have to learn lessons for ourselves while we rebel. I feel that, because like what just came up just now, I realized that I wanted to rebel because I didn't know what that was. I never had that experience of rebelling. I didn't know what it was to get in trouble. So it was like, you know what? Let me see what's on this side. Let me see what's on this side. And it's interesting because that actually connects to the performance I'm going to do today. The song is called Alien Family. So I want to show y'all something. I got a crystal in my water, crystal in my water. When I tell y'all, that's another thing about health. So this is actually going to make a connection with listening to our bodies, right? When I tell you, first off, before I was like on this journey, I used to pray before I ate. So I've always done that. But then when I started doing like affirmations, like over my food and over my drinks, it's literally like the vibration changes. And in addition to that, y'all, first of all, it's in glass right now. That's also, you know, glass is a crystal, right? So that's also a powerful element that affects the water. But what I was saying is that when I put the water in here, first it was spring water. It was cool or whatever, right? But then I put the crystal in here and I started speaking, and I'm watching the water like vibrate, and just like the vibrations and stuff go inside the water, literally, right? When I tell y'all I took that first sip, I was like, this is magical. This is magical. That's the thing about this health journey. It's so real. I feel like sometimes because of just how much information has been going around, there's a lot of false information, there's a lot of pretenders, there's a lot of things, right? That sometimes people can be skeptical, right? And that's why I'm here, because I'm like, yo, I'm gonna teach y'all all I know, and as I learn, I'm gonna teach you some more, and teach me some stuff, and let's learn together, okay? Because this health journey is real, and self-healing is real. I'll end with that. So self-healing is real. The reason why I know self-healing is real is because I'm an example. Y'all, I have been through different things in my life that I have healed through, and there's still things that I'm working through as of now. However, I specifically want to share my experience of back in 2021 when I was hospitalized, and I essentially was hospitalized for 5 days in relation to my liver. And in that experience, I was told by doctors at 26 years old, right? I was told by doctors that, first of all, they were confused. So they were doing a lot of experiments on me. So I was like I felt like a guinea pig, y'all. And then they were essentially gearing towards like transplant, like, oh, like that was my only option, right? And just imagine this 26-year-old scared young girl in the hospital. They're telling me I need a transplant. Mind you, I'm like, dang, I've been plant-based, but I'm still drinking these little thought juices. Like, this is crazy. But you know what? I had one foot in and one foot out. So I had to learn that lesson. It said go in all the way. You cannot have the cure and have the poison at the same time. You've got to choose one. You got to do it. So this was a catalyst for me in my life, right? Because these doctors, mind you, these doctors have been training for however many years, right? And they're telling me this is what I need. And then they prescribed me with water pills. After that 5 days, all they had for me was water pills. And, oh, we'll see you in 6 months to check on my liver again, right? Oh, and don't drink, by the way, right? Thanks for that. Which, by the way, I've never drank again ever since that experience, ever, right? And it's interesting because sometimes when I tell this story, others tell me, well, that's really great because there's some people that learn that they're sick and they continue to do the thing. And that's why we getting back to like the self-love and how much we love ourselves. I sat there and I was like, nah, I really love myself. And I love more than that. Like, I love my life. I was like, I've always been here and knew that I was supposed to do something big, like something that is very impactful to the entire collective. I've always had that feeling, and it's like a knowingness. So when I sat in that hospital bed, I said, oh, nah, I can't go early. I ain't finished my mission yet. I got to do my mission. And then to find out that this health journey was a part of my mission, y'all. If you would have told me a few years ago that I would be interested in being a doctor, I would have been like, what? Doctor for what? Like, for what? Like, I've always loved helping people, but I've never seen myself as a doctor. But guess what? For me, y'all are herbalists, it don't know, say holistic medicine, don't know. So no, for real though, like, so y'all, I was diagnosed, right, with liver cirrhosis. And you know what I did? I went home and I spoke to God. I spoke with me. I spoke to I. And I asked, I said, what do I do? I don't want to take these prescriptions. I haven't even eaten. That's another thing. I was already plant-based and they was telling me that I needed, I was already plant-based and they were telling me to eat chicken and to eat fish. Do you know how that effed me up? Because I was on this journey of healing and then these doctors is telling me that I need to eat chicken and fish. And I'm sitting in the hospital like, yo, it was a Jamaican lady. She was so nice. She seasoned it real good. And I was telling her like, this is crazy, but she was real nice and she put love in it. So it was cool. But I was sitting there like, I'm so confused. I was so confused. So again, I talked to God. I went home and I said, nah, son, I ain't going to be taking these water pills, peeing every night. Like, we not doing this, bro. I don't feel like this is helping me, son. Nah. Because what happened was that I didn't mention I was very bloated. That's what initially made me do the inquiry of my health in the first place, was because I was bloated. I went to the doctor. The doctor said, oh, nah, sis, like, you need to go to the hospital. I recommend you check yourself in a hospital. That's how deep it was, and I didn't even know. But that was, again, me listening to my body. Also, if you don't listen to your body with your third ear, right, your third eye, your third ear, if you don't listen to your body with your third ear, then guess what? It will show up on your body. And whether that's in acne, right, whether that's in, like I said, bloating in my example, right? But it will show up. And that's why, like, our body is so divine, it's so intelligent, it's so magical, y'all. And if we just listen, that we can tap into divine knowledge. So boom. I asked God, I was like, yo, God, what I do? God, what I do? I'm sad, I'm depressed, God, I don't know what to do. God was like, I got you. I had a dream about Mexico, okay? And I ain't never been to Mexico before or even really thought about going because, to be honest, I was just like, I just heard that you can't drink their water. So I'm like, what am I going over there for? I was very ignorant to Mexico. Like, I just didn't know. Like, ignorant is just a lack of knowledge. Like, I was ignorant, so I didn't know. I had a dream about Mexico, and I was led to Mexico. And that's how I found my 10-day Gila Music Mystical Retreat. And I did so much healing on that journey through ayahuasca ceremony, cacao ceremony, temazcal ceremony, daily meditation, vegan food, shaman, just mentorship, that family energy with people from around the world. I've never been in a room with so much people from different places around the world like that. And that's what really impacted me as well, to realize that I'm all about love and Black power and all that. But I realized, I said, you know what, nah, though, it's one love for real. It's one love for real. When I tell you my sisters and my brothers that was in that journey ceremony and ceremonies in Mexico, was my sister from Israel. I got a sister and brother from London. I got a sister from Switzerland. I got a sister from Tokyo. I got a brother from, I got a sister from Germany, right? Like all of these different places around the world. And we were able to connect because guess what? At that moment, I realized that we all had something to learn from one another. We all had to help heal one another. And it was a powerful experience. When I was in Mexico and I talked to one of the sisters who curated it, Renee, she literally told me it was the first retreat that they had that everybody decided to do the ayahuasca ceremony. So it was this energy of just true trust. And it was very powerful. Without getting too much into that, I'm actually going to do a complete live on plant medicine because plant medicine changed my life. It changed my life, child. So I'll do that. However, just getting back to, okay, so I had the dream, led to Mexico. I got my drum. So many different things happened for me. I was able to purge out toxins, so many different things, so many different clarities and things that came up for me, right? So essentially, I just completely stopped taking the water pills. I completely stopped taking the prescriptions that the doctors gave me. And I started to listen to myself. And self said, you got to work on your blood. And say, you got to cleanse your blood, sis. So I was like, I'm cleanse my blood. You know what I'm saying? So I started with that. And then also, it was just, because it was some time ago, I'm saying all the details that I remember. But essentially, what I'm saying is that I started to listen to my body and I began to heal myself. Because I literally went to the doctor and I told him, I was like, yo, I don't want to take water pills. I don't want to take no prescriptions. Like, I was like, I stopped taking it this long ago and I started doing this. And then he looked at my results and he was like, oh, well, it looks like whatever you're doing, like it's you're getting better. So it looks like if you just continue, you probably don't need the transplant. Like this looks good. And I'm like, oh really? Oh really, sir? Oh, really, sir? How come you ain't tell me when I was on that hospital bed that the liver is the only organ that can regenerate itself, huh? How come you ain't tell me that, doc? How come you had me stressed out, doc? Can I really depend on you, doc? Nah, doc. I'm the doc. So I'm a heal self. I'm a trust in I, okay? The messages that I'm getting, right? Because it's been real. It's been really working for me. Like, it's so true, y'all. It's so real. This is why I'm so passionate about this. Because I'm like, yo, they was telling me this and that in the hospital. Like, yo, they had me, I'm going to be real. They had me feeling like I was about to die. Like, real talk. They had me feeling crazy. Like, I'm hearing it. I was like, no, it's going to happen. I was thinking about all the things in life that I didn't get to do yet. Like, yo, it was deep. But I was like, you know what? I already was on this journey of healing. I was already on this journey of becoming plant-based, and I already had accumulated all of this knowledge when it comes to eating and herbalism, because I study a lot, I read a lot. So I already had this knowledge. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to trust myself, and I'm actually going to apply these things that I've been learning to myself. And as I've been doing that, y'all, I'm telling you that I have been healing myself in ways that the doctor could not use a machine to measure. That was bars. Did you hear that? I said, I have been healing myself in ways that the doctor does not have a machine to measure. It cannot be even measured like with the machine. It's with spirit though. It's with spirit. I know that I've been growing. I know that I've been healing, because certain experiences that I used to be triggered by, I am no longer triggered by, y'all. I'm gonna be real with you. I had a matter of fact, let's talk about it right now. You see, this is my therapy. Talk about it right now. I had an experience recently, you know, with it was like a business. It was a business idea that I was proposing to a space and stuff like that, you know. And from the very beginning, the initial person that I connected with, we was vibing, right? However, the second person that I had to essentially like also connect with, from the very beginning, spirit was like, nah. Was like, nah, we not good, you know. But I'm gonna be real with you. I love a challenge. I love me a challenge. So I'm like, oh, a difficult personality. This is just an opportunity for me to grow. I can deal with difficult personalities. I'm so much better than I used to be, because before I used to just want to curse people out, or I'll tell you about yourself. You know what I'm saying? I will curse you out without using curses. I will use intellect to make you feel. You feel me? But I learned, I was like, I don't got to do that. I don't got to do that, because what I tell the students, 2 wrongs don't make it right. So guess what? I'm going to just speak my truth. I'm going to just be me. But I don't need to try to do nothing to nobody, because guess what? I'm highly protected and favored. So I realized, because I move in truth, I tend to see spirit handle people that end up not doing something that is just. Spirit handles that. I don't have to be the one to be like, let me seek revenge. No. I don't have to do that, because I'm moving in my truth. I'm moving in my purpose. I'm moving with love. And God knows my heart. So I don't have to worry about that. And it's magical. So essentially, in this situation, I realized that this person and me, it would not align. However, I was like, you know what? I'm up for the challenge. I had to tell her. I didn't curse her out, but I told her. I be calling it cursed out when I say certain things, when I do things in a certain way. But I had to basically tell her who I was. Because when she was speaking to me in a certain way, it was very belittling and condescending. And mind you, this is a business opportunity that will profit both of us. And I'm very into like my business and everything I do, I'm very passionate about. So I don't play those games, sis. And I come from corporate. Like, stop playing with me. I know how to talk. So yeah, you know, I had to tell this person who I am. And even with me just being transparent and who I am and how I show up in my experience and stuff like that, right? I realized that you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna be real. Like, I'm so open. Like, I'm gonna tell y'all. So essentially, one of the things that this person said that I realized was triggering for me, but I realized it was a lesson that I had to grow through, right? And I'm here now, and I learned from it, and I'm so happy that I had this experience, was that one of the things that the person mentioned was about an art therapy, like if I'm certified in art therapy, in therapy and mental wellness, essentially, because just the background was that it was about my Bubbly Love course, but it was like at a different location prior to me confirming this. Well, no, I'm lying. That was confirmed already. And that's the difference. All right, let me stay focused. So essentially, yeah, she asked me if I was certified in that way. And I was like, I'm not officially certified. However, for the past For the past 5 years, I've been curating and curating and teaching at events. For the past 2 years, well, for the past about 3 years, I've been holding this space as far as mental wellness. And so I'm like, I have the portfolio, like literally I have the proof. like my proof is in my experience, literally. And I found it to be triggering because I was like, why am I explaining myself to someone who doesn't see who I am, because they likely don't see who they are, right? And the reason why I'm sharing this is because it was a test to myself and to because I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I know I'm supposed to be healing childhood trauma. I know I'm supposed to be healing childhood trauma because I went through childhood trauma. And that had a huge effect on how I showed up. So I know that anything that I must do, I have to first must go through. I know that I'm supposed to be holding space for mental wellness because I've went through depression. I've went through issues when it comes to mental wellness and just feeling like I'm going crazy. Real talk. And being able to identify these things, being able to look into, like, I study mental health and about like when I look at ADHD and all of that stuff, I was never diagnosed with any of that stuff. But when I look down the list and I see some of the traits, and I'm like, well, I found these traits in myself, and I've also found these traits in a lot of people around, right? And what I realized that has helped me with all of these traits has been this healing journey. It has been meditation. It has been journaling. It has been somatic healing, moving with my body. Let me tell y'all something about somatic healing. Somatic healing came to me through spirit. I actually didn't know the terminology somatic healing until maybe some months ago. Like sometime this year, I learned about somatic healing, but I was already doing this work because it came to me through I, the Most High Spirit. It came to me. This stuff is so real. For me to be able to do these things, to heal in these ways, to realize how we hold emotion within our bodies, to realize the release when I'm moving, right? To be able to make those connections. I was like, oh snap. Then to find out, like, oh snap, there's a thing called somatic healing and you've been doing it this whole time. I was like, yo, you know what? I gotta trust myself. I gotta trust myself. This whole thing, everything we're speaking about now is literally trusting yourself, because you have to trust yourself to be able to go against what a doctor says, right? Because, you know, this doctor has studied in this field for however amount of years, and you're, you know, like in my situation, I was new to this. I'm new to this. So I'm like, well, I probably should listen to you, right? But it's like, nah, I should listen to me. I can, before anyone, I can say what's best for me as far as how things make me feel, how things make me, you know, expand and grow, and what doesn't. I'm really the first person who can identify it. People can have a perspective and opinion, but I'm really the first stop for that. So many different connections. I feel like with everything being said, I'm actually really inspired to just do more conversations about health, and just get even like people on here if anyone wants to come on. This is the first show that I've done without like a special guest, and a part of that is just because I knew how much I would be going into this specific topic and just how personal it is for me. So I told myself, you know what? I'm my special guest. So Bubbles, so it's the Bubbly Love Show hosted by Bubbles with special guest, Dr. Bubbles. Hey y'all, I'm a different part of Bubbles. How you doing? But you know, for a while, to end with this, so for a while I found myself to be shy to share some of these things, because I know that this can be a sensitive topic for others. However, in my growth and in my expansion, in my ascension, I realized that this is what I must do, because guess what? I'm going to teach with compassion and with grace. if you have a question about something, if you're interested in becoming plant-based, or if you're just interested in doing like a 7-day vegan challenge, if you're interested in recipes, right? If you're interested in just some common knowledge, some common tips and tricks when it comes to transitioning, I am qualified to do that. So please hit me up. With that being said, I do want to make a note. If you are interested in becoming plant-based, or if you are interested in doing like a detox, like whether it's a plant-based detox, whatever the case may be, I would recommend thinking about your food combinations to start, okay? We need to ensure that we are not mixing different foods that do not go together. For example, starch and proteins do not actually go together. And it is a common food, which is like your rice and your beans, right? So your rice is the starch, the carb, and the beans is the protein. So the reason why certain foods do not agree when it comes to, the reason why we're taught that foods do not go together, excuse me, is because different foods need a different type of environment to digest in our systems, right? So for instance, when we think about fruits, we have so many different fruits, but we have different types of fruits, and that is in the biological makeup, the antioxidants, the different things, that components of that fruit. So for instance, we have like acid fruit, we have subacid fruit, and we have like sweet fruit, right? And we have melons, because melon is its own category. As a fun fact, shout out Fruits and Roots. Fun fact, you should eat melons with just melons, okay? Because they actually digest pretty fast in like about 10 minutes. And they just need a specific type of environment, as I mentioned, in your digestive system. So for instance, a melon is going to take a different digestive process as like a banana. So let's go through the categories. So melons is melons. Melons would be like your cantaloupe, your honeydew, and your watermelon. Subacid fruit would be your apples. Your acid fruit would be your lemons. Your sweet fruit would be your bananas, right? So think about for a second the differences between those fruits, right? So as I mentioned, so if you think about a lemon, which is an acid fruit, versus a banana, which is a sweet fruit, right? If you think about how you would feel after you just ate a lemon, like if you just like suck out the juice from a lemon, you just eat a lemon, versus if you eat one whole banana, which one would you be more full on? The banana, right? So the banana is actually going to take about 40-ish minutes to digest, right? It takes more for it to digest, essentially, because it has that sweetness, that sugar. So, okay, I just got a message. Okay. So as far as the lemon, right? If you eat the lemon, you're probably not going to be full, but guess what? Lemon is a really great cleanser, right? You'll be real cleansed out after eating a lemon versus like eating a banana. So this is just an example of how different foods need different environments to digest. So just being mindful of what we're eating. So I tell people, like, even if you eat like meat, you want to eat your meat with like some vegetables, right? If you're having like some beans, you want to have those beans with like some vegetables. If you're having rice, you want to have those rice with some vegetables. So we always want to balance out what we're eating, how we're eating it, because That's what is going to let you have a healthy BM. And BM stands for bowel movement. The way how you know if your bowel movement is healthy or not, you can look at your feces. I am very big in looking at my shit. I am, y'all. Okay, I'm actually gonna have a whole, like, I might do it next week. I might do it next week. I'm gonna have a whole show, and it's gonna be called Shit Talk, okay? And we gonna get into the feces because I love learning about feces. Like, I love it because, so like I said, you can look at your feces. Hey sister, I love you. I miss you. Are you going to singing lessons? So about feces, right? You can tell how you've been eating with how your feces comes out. So ideally, you want your feces to look like a snake. You do. You want it to look like a snake. If it's like broken up in little pebbles or something, those are signs of constipation. Okay? If you have diarrhea, those are signs that your food has not digested properly. So again, remember when I was saying earlier how our food needs different environments to properly digest? So likely, maybe you ate some rice and beans. And well, rice and beans specifically on the opposite end, that would actually constipate you. It would be more like harder to like, you'd be straining. But then like something that would cause like diarrhea is like if you eat your rice and beans and then you drink water at the same time, or you drink a soda at the same time, that'll cause like diarrhea, right? And the reason being is because while that food was going through, the first part of digestion is chewing, right? So once it was going through that whole process, right, they need different environments. So now it's getting like clogged up and stuff because it doesn't have the acid and everything that it needs. Then you're like diluting it with the water and stuff like that. So hence diarrhea. Yeah, I was talking about the diarrhea one. So those are two different ways that you could either be constipated or diarrhea. So again, you also want to look at the color of your feces. Not too dark, not too light, because light means that it's missing certain nutrients. And the dark one, I'm gonna be real, I kind of forget about the dark one, but I just remembered something about the dark one. Oh, I believe it's like it has some type of toxins or something in it. I'm pretty sure that I'm correct, but you can always look this up. So what's it called? So again, we want our feces to look like a snake. So I be going to the bathroom. I be looking at, earlier, because I started my detox today. I went to the bathroom earlier and it was like, toinka, 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 toinka. She got me singing. And then what's that other one? It's like, move your body like a snake, ma, like that. Fake, ma, like that. Yo, that's for me. We had snakes in the toilet. Not on a plane, but we had snakes in the toilet. I be hype. I'm like, yo, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So let's connect that back to self-love. So it is self-love for you to love yourself so much that you are aware of what you are consuming. It is self-love, okay, to spend that extra time looking at the ingredients of what you are consuming. Don't tell me I'm doing too much. You doing too less, boo. I need to know what goes into this temple at all times. That's self-love. Instead of just eating things and, I hope it'll be all right. I hope it'll be all right. No. Let's be intentional about what we are doing. What are we consuming? Let's do it. We could do it. So I Bubbly love you. I'm gonna perform a track. You know what I'm saying? Cause that's the vibes right now. Jay Dilla Alien Family instrumental. So I don't ever end these classes, these lives without. Hold up. Oh shoot. Whoops. I don't ever end these lives without.
Constant trim level is the pinnacle of bespoke comfort.
Okay, YouTube advertisements. All right, I don't ever end these lives without doing some type of music because you already know who I am. I am the music. So I wanted to do this track. I don't know what it was on just now. I would like to do this track because we've been talking about health, and I mentioned some stuff about mental wellness, but it's also just about balance, because that's a lot what I was talking about today. I was talking about balance. I was talking about if you're eating this, eat it with vegetables. If you're eating that, eat it with that. And just having balance when it comes to how you show up for yourself and having grace, right? By taking accountability. Okay? So do y'all hear the beat? Is it good? I tested it out before I did this, but now for some reason it sounds low. Okay, y'all ready? Hey. So, fun fact about this, I actually freestyled to this beat, a Jay Dilla beat. It's called Alien Family. I actually freestyled to this beat in the summertime when I was doing the Love Circus, and I was on live and I had freestyled and I came up with this hook, and I liked it so much. Like, it was so popping that I was like, yo, you know what? I want to write to this song. So this is it. So if you hear the beginning and it's familiar, it's because, yeah, it was inspired by that hook that I came up with. Word. Ayo. I think it needs to be up a little bit. Yo, listen. What you do one side, you must do the other. If you want it to balance out each other. Hey, listen. What you do one side, you must do the other. If you want it to balance out each other. Hey, balance. What you do one side, you must do the other. If you want it to balance out each other. You know that I love you. You just like my brother. You just like my sister. You just like my mother. You just like my father. You just like an author. Like, you just like the creator of your world. Ever since I've been a little girl, I would practice in the mirror, clacky heels with the pearls. Rhyme and keep it stirred just in case the mommy heard. Now my vision blurred, cause my life done took a turn. Start to numb my pain, had to learn how to discern. Since I like you, it's a challenge, but I'ma find my balance. If you make it hard, then I'm not sure that I can manage. If you like the self, then it will always do some damage. Yo. Conditions like incisions, but it helped me with my mission. If you want to do one thing, gotta play the opposition. So I had to left to play the right side of position. Yo, how you sell your soul, I won't take that proposition. I had to learn thyself so I could follow intuition. 333, the master teach, are you listening? Clear sentience, gold aura and it's glistening. Been this way since in my mama belly kicking. And since I had the vision, I can't take no intermission. I gotta be myself, no they say that I'm different. I heal through these words, authorize my own description. Devil on my shoulder, but I'd rather be uplifting. Ay. And what you do one side, you must do the other. If you want it to balance out each other. Hey, listen. What you do one side, you must do the other. If you want it to balance out each other. Hey. I love y'all so much. I give thanks and gratitude for everyone who came on, who tuned in, who just came to listen, came to learn, came to with an open heart, an open mind, open spirit. So that was the Bubbly Love Show. Thank you, Luigi. I appreciate you. Oh, there was this one message that I didn't read earlier. Let me read that. Let me read that because it's not like you can go back. So let me read that. Okay. Said I was an overachiever in middle school and felt as if it was imposed or expected of me, but later I realized I was maintaining a certain level for praise of others and not for my own fulfillment. Ashe, I received that. I was actually just speaking about that yesterday on live about being a high achiever. I didn't even think about the word over, but overachiever. I feel that because there's certain times, even something I identified more recent was like sometimes I give myself unrealistic deadlines, and I was like, then as the deadline is approaching, it just starts to create anxiety because I feel like I'm rushing because it's like, oh my gosh, the deadline's coming up, right? So it creates anxiety. And I was like, wait, I didn't give myself like ample time. I know that I'm working on this, and that. And it's like, it's great to be ambitious, but don't be too ambitious where now you're anxious because of it. You know, you don't want your ambition to equal anxiousness. So yeah, I feel that. Thank you so much for sharing. So yeah, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Like I'm in this space right now. I would definitely say on this 14-day detox, like I'm so excited because I'm already feeling really good just because I didn't eat bread today. Really, real talk. Thank you, Zen. I appreciate it. So I love y'all so much. If there's anyone who would like to hop on the Bubbly Love Show as a special guest, please send me a DM at Bubbles the Creative. I love you so much. I'll see you next time. Peace.